Welcome to Retro Spectrum, the podcast where we choose an artist, listened to all of their albums, or in this case, hundreds of singles, and then discuss their importance and place in history. This week, we're taking a long look back to the work of Fats Domino.
This was a pretty fun one. I didn't really expect you to choose it. It kind of came out of left field, I thought, but very enjoyable.
Yeah, that was kind of the goal, was to do something a little bit more out of the popular consciousness. I mentioned in the episode, but I do think Fats is due kind of a resurgence or at least a reevaluation of his place in musical history.
So that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, it's starting here. We heard it here first. Okay, never mind. I don't want to take full credit for his, but when he hits #1 on the charts this year, I'll go ahead and say that was us.
So enjoy Fats Domino.
What are you drinking?
Earl Grey, room temp.
Old.
Yeah. Earl Grey that I forgot about for 2 hours. No, I'm struggling today. I would like to be in bed by 9 o'clock every night. Is that so much to ask?
No, it's feasible.
I'm straight up elderly, dude.
It can be done.
Yeah, if you have really good boundaries and tell people no all the time, and I suck at that. What did you do in Ada?
Dude, we got there at like 4-ish, right as the food was coming off the grill. It was perfect timing. So we got there, got in the pool for 20 minutes.
What was it? What was the event?
It was 4th of July.
Oh, I forgot all about 4th of July this year. Accidentally went to Lowe's that day. I was like, God damn it.
Was
these
it
people
closed?
Are stupid. No, it was open, but people are just dumb.
Kind of surprised it was open.
There's just hicks out everywhere. No, yeah, it was open. I think it might have closed early that day or something, but I went in the morning, so people just were driving like fuckheads.
Got in the pool for like a minute, ate dinner, and then it started to like rain a little bit, like kind of sprinkle. And we're like, all right, let's pack everything up and go inside. So we brought everything inside. And like 20 minutes later, like 80-mile-an-hour winds hit and was blowing everything all over the place. And the power went out and the kids were freaking out. And
that sounds kind of cute.
Yeah. So we hung out for a little bit, but it was about 6 or 6:30 or so. And the rain had died down a little bit. And we were like, okay, we're going to leave in case this happens again. We're going to go home.
Smart.
So I felt kind of bad because they had planned all this stuff and it kind of just fell apart and everybody bailed, but their power was out and it was like, we're gonna get
shit happens, dude. Nature always wins.
Yeah. So everybody packed up and left. What are you eating?
Sorry, it's just an English muffin with this peanut butter is actually so fucking good. It's like peanut butter, oats, and chia all mixed together in a jar.
Whoa,
so it's like
thumbs
the perfect
up symbols.
Fuck yeah, agreed.
Hang on.
That's creepy. Why did it do that?
I think because your left hand was doing it.
I didn't do that with my left hand. That's crazy. It just thumbed up that delicious sounding peanut butter.
Yeah,
the AI was like, oh, damn, if I had a mouth.
Well, finish up that muffin.
I just finished. It had English muffin with Kerrygold butter with cinnamon in it that I mixed into it. And then that fancy peanut butter. And then the ube jam or ube spread from Trader's.
The purple?
Yeah. It's a little too sweet for me. So I don't put a ton on there when I do it. But anyway. Did you come up with an angle?
Between today and yesterday, I did a lot of research, and I think I don't know, this was a tough nut to crack.
I'm never really looking for an angle.
I like to create some sort of through line or narrative or like contextualize everything. And it
should be the way, that's the way to go for sure.
It was really hard for me to do with this, but I think I figured out. This one's weird because it's not really about albums. The albums are almost like secondary to everything. The 50s were a different time in the music industry. And it's really, I think his story is a transitional story. It's a transition from blues to rock and roll. It's a transition from singles to albums. It's the transition from like the classical, like crooner, pop, jazz, Dean Martin to like the Beatles and Elvis and all that stuff. And I think he was a big part of bridging the gap and transitioning from the old style to the new style. And that's kind of what I look at the 50s as. The other thing was hard about doing this is like there's not as much information, like not everything was on display all the time.
Right.
So there wasn't a ton of background information. I'm sure it exists. I know there's a book written about him. Like I didn't go through and read the book and stuff, but it didn't feel like there was as much information available about him, and especially like the non-musical, like personal life stuff, it didn't really feel like very much stuff went into that. He seemed to be pretty well liked, you know, he seemed to have pretty good relationships with
Mm-hmm.
people. He kept the same band members for like 60 years, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
there was a dude in the documentary that was like,
The one that you can barely understand.
yeah, we all played together our entire lives. If that doesn't tell you what kind of person he was, you know, I don't know what will. And I think that's true. I think there's something to like having people that will stick around that long speaks to the quality of the person. And I know like posthumously nobody's going to talk shit on it, but he seemed to be pretty well liked and well respected across the board
I
too.
did read that he cheated on his wife a bunch on the road and stuff.
Well, and he was married to the same woman for like they were married for like 70 years or something.
Yeah, it's cute that he like lived a long life and was happy and just did his thing and then
Yeah.
fucking died of natural causes happy at home. Like that's killer.
Yeah, but 90 years old.
His story is so not like a normal musician story, really. Usually it's way more like tumultuous, especially like back then. Like, holy shit, there's so many things that could have gone down, but it just seems like he just had a chill existence.
And that was one of the things that I really liked about Fats. Like I said, him kind of being a bridge, it kind of opens what was traditionally more like segregated or underground or the stuff that was like happening on the streets in the clubs in places like New Orleans, and taking that sound and packaging it in a way that was palatable and appealing to large groups of people, which then of course means it gets like co-opted and absorbed into popular consciousness. And to me, the craziest thing is that rock sound getting translated from New Orleans into like the British
The Beatles.
invasion.
Yes,
Yeah, like
so crazy.
how it got to the UK and how it influenced them, because their relationship to it is so like much more removed than America's relationship.
yeah.
Like they don't have quite as much of the, you know, all the baggage and everything that comes with music from the South and African American music and all that stuff. And so to see them, I wonder if they were more accepting of it because there was less of an ingrained racism like built into their experience.
Although they are the cause of all of America's
Sure. But I
shenanigans.
mean, like at the time, I can imagine that they would be more willing to, like, I think Chuck Berry was huge over there. I think a lot of black artists from the US were really big over there because they didn't have as much of an uphill battle.
Well, the shit's undeniably good.
Yeah, it's great.
So fucking good, dude. I've had Fats just playing nonstop since I started. So it's just so easy to listen to.
Yeah, and I have listened to, okay, he did, what is it? I got 25 studio albums on here, a few of which I was not able to find recorded versions of. I think they may exist on like single YouTube videos.
I watched a ton of YouTube videos.
Yeah, I got a lot too. That was what I've done the last couple of days. It was about 300 songs. He wrote about 300 songs.
Wrote or sang? Because he sang a lot of other people's songs.
Performed, like recorded. He had like 300 non-live like studio tracks, about 300 recorded tracks. How did you listen to everything?
I just listened to everything Spotify had. I didn't do all the live albums, but I did most of what Spotify had. Spotify has 13 like studio albums and then a bunch of live albums and a bunch of compilations. And I listened to all the studio albums, all the compilations, and some of the live stuff.
Do you have any guess how many like total tracks that is?
No. The albums were short.
That was awesome. Like, okay, so here's when I got on there,
You're like, God, this is gonna be so much.
I got on Tidal and they had like 8 albums or whatever, but 3 of them were like every single thing he's ever recorded albums, like literally top to bottom. But they were arranged they were all out of order. I don't know what the arrangement was. So I took everything and put all of the songs that they had on one big master playlist, which ended up being like 1,500 tracks. Like I just pulled everything into one big playlist. And then I organized them all by the title and took out all the duplicates, which it got it down to around like 275, 280
That's awesome.
tracks, which like that was manageable. But my whole goal for this was to figure out his like, I wanted to do it chronologically because I wanted to listen for
that's so hard with stuff like this,
changes or like, you know, a gradual like progression or when like was there a major drop off after like the 6th album or something, or is like everything you know from the first 2.
It's so interesting because like the music industry barely existed back then, so it's barely so hard to track.
A lot more fragmented. So I got on Wikipedia and figured out how many studio albums he got. And then I got on Discogs and for each album pulled up the track list and made a separate playlist for all
Nice.
25 of his albums or whatever. So
Wow.
if you get on Tidal, I made all of them public. So if you get on
That's
Tidal and look
badass.
for Fat's actual album titles, I titled them all by the name of the album and the year. But they're all 12 tracks. Like every single album is 12 tracks for the most part. They're all like 25 to maybe 30 minutes long. So it may be 300 songs, but compared this to the Iron Maiden 18 albums,
Or They Might Be Giants 36 albums.
yeah. This was way easier and way faster to listen to and
And
way more enjoyable
enjoyable.
the whole
It
time.
was enjoyable. The whole, every song is good. Every single song is good. And a lot of them I noticed are like basically the same song, just with different words.
So that's the other thing is like going through each album. I think for the first like 6 or so, it's mostly no repeats. They wrote most of them. There were some like covers of standards or like traditional songs or songs that have been written for other people. After that, though, it starts to loop around where like a couple of songs off this album will make it onto this album. And like, I know that I listened to some of these songs 5 or 6 times over the course of listening to all the albums in order, just because the song would make different appearances on different albums. But I liked having all the track listing and being able to listen to the releases in order, kind of like as close as you can get in the streaming age to listening to all the albums from start to finish. What I did figure out is there's an album called it's a comp album called The Complete Imperial Singles, and it's 140 something songs or whatever, and those were all track listed in the order that they were released in. So it's like could have just listened to that, and it's pretty much how most of the albums are.
Yeah, I did listen to that. It was six disc.
That one is the one that's pretty close to being everything in order from top to bottom. But also all of his songs. So his first 2 albums are Rockin' and Rollin' with Fats Domino, and then the one that came out that later that same year is called Fats Domino Rockin' and Rollin'.
Yeah.
And it's like they're not the same album. They don't have the same songs on them, but it's
He did that a lot.
yeah.
He would be like, here's Fats. Here he comes again. Fats is back. Fats. Like Fats
yeah, there's
Domino.
one called This is
Like,
Fats Domino and a different
Yep.
one called This is Fats.
Yep.
And it's like, yeah, you got to mix it up a little bit, man.
A lot of dominoes. I liked that one.
That my favorite thing about that one is it's ... a lot of dominoes. Like it starts with an ellipsis.
Yeah. And it does, they didn't put that on Spotify. Like it's on the album cover, but they didn't
Yeah.
put it on the title.
So the Here Comes Fats Domino and Here He Comes Again. Here Comes Fats Domino was when he split from Imperial. So he was on the same record label from 1949 when he started releasing music up until 1963 when the label that he was on with that guy Lou Chudd was the record label owner guy that came
What a
and saw him
name.
perform and offered him a contract. He stayed with Imperial from 1949 when he started doing singles all the way up till 1963 when Imperial sold. Then he signed to ABC Paramount Recordings, and their first album with him was Here Comes Fats Domino. And I don't know what the like transition was between ABC and Imperial, but Imperial released Here He Comes Again on their label after ABC released that one. So I feel like it was like ABC put his songs out and Imperial was like, "Oh no, we got Fats too. Like here's some more." I feel like it was like a competing releases
Everybody
between
loves
his
Fats.
2 labels in 1963.
You should have had an album called that. Everybody Loves Fats.
I'm almost surprised he doesn't. There's one Fats on Fire where he's on the fire truck on the cover. That's
Oh my God.
pretty good stuff.
He's so fucking good. So I watched this like documentary thing with Paul Schaefer. Did you watch that at all?
I did not. I saw a bunch of pictures of him with Paul Schaefer, but
Yeah. Paul Schaefer is super into all these piano players, obviously. So Jerry Lee Lewis was there, Ray Charles was there, Fats Domino was there, and Paul Schaefer was like sort of orchestrating this like live event or TV event or whatever the fuck it was. It was like an interview with Paul talking about it, and then it was showing all the footage of it. So it was both, like it was then and it was later when Paul was like old or whatever.
it was him performing with Fats like a long time ago, and then
It was him orchestrating that event a long time ago. Like it was the event and all the footage from the event, but also then Paul Older talking about it and stuff.
That sounds like the VH1 shows that I used to love watching.
Yes, totally. Like behind the music vibes.
Yeah.
for like this random event. Jerry Lee Lewis is so like such a dick. He like is the opposite of Fats.
Yeah, not a good guy.
Fats was like actually just nice and sweet all the time. It seemed like from like the interviews and the footage and stuff, he was like really sweet. And Fats is always smiling. Jerry Lee Lewis is always just straight face, not smiling. He like never fucking smiles.
Also, he married his like 13-year-old cousin.
Oh my God.
Not a good dude.
Obviously a piece of shit.
Yeah, not a good guy.
It was definitely way harder to do like research. There's not a lot written that I could find in the interviews. Like the people interviewing him like barely let him talk.
Yeah.
Which is so fucking annoying. And I'm kind of like that. I'm like fast and jump in a bunch, which is annoying that I do that. I hate that I do that. And it was always white people interviewing him. And he would finally start saying something. And then they would start talking over him. I'm like, God damn it. If you would have just let him finish that sentence, maybe he would have said something.
Yeah, it didn't feel like he was ever really given space. But I could also like, you would
Really
want
a
to be
shock.
really careful what you said, especially when the media was like trying to paint what you were doing in like a dangerous light. All the riot stuff, like I'm sure they were just itching for him to say anything that could be taken as a like, look, he wants.
But instead he was just like, haha, I don't know.
Yeah, he's like, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I think his response to the one in San Jose was, well, you know what happens when the Marines and the Navy get together. And then he just kind of looked at the camera like, what are you going to do? Yeah, it's like, man, good one.
Yeah, you're right. I did see one thing where he said, I don't think it was the music. I think it was the cops or whatever that were there.
Yeah.
I liked how the white crowds that they had segregated were like, fuck this. We want to go down there and dance with the black people
Yeah.
on the floor.
Yeah, who are having
like,
fun.
I love that. Yes, I fucking love that. And it's so annoying that like the people are like, we're just trying to have a good time. And it's literally is the cops in the military and shit that are fucking up the vibe.
It's a good reminder that youth culture is generally where things change. So when you get like old and curmudgeonly and want to talk about how the kids or whatever, it's always been that way. Everybody's always felt that way.
Might as well already be dead.
But the kids are really the ones that are like instigating the change, and whatever that change is, by the time you're old, you're going to feel left out and left behind or whatever. But like historically, if you pay any attention to progress and stuff, like it starts
That's
with
how it works, bro.
the youngest generation. To me, my attitude of it is like, get on board or get out of the way.
I was like, hey, Bob Dylan said that.
Yeah, exactly.
Were Dylan and Fats, did they interact at all? Or is Dylan too young?
I didn't find anything that was crossover.
That would make a lot of sense.
As popularity was declining, that's really when Dylan kind of started, right? Like I feel like he started kind of after. And I don't know that there was a lot, like the folk scene was anti rock and roll. Pete Seeger, Bob Dylan, folk stuff, they didn't like rock and roll. So they were rebelling against that. Well, that's why when Dylan went electric at the folk festival, everybody flipped out and like booed him, and
everyone got
yeah, because he was like rock or whatever, and he was doing what was popular, which was rock and roll at the time, rather than their folk music, which had been popular since the beginning of music. How much did you see about like his start and where he came from early on? That to me, I thought was kind of an interesting dynamic of his career.
His brother-in-law taught him how to play or something?
Yeah. His brother-in-law was a jazz musician.
And then he worked for an ice house because of his dad or something?
Yeah. Everything that, like, there were things that I saw that said he dropped out of school in the 4th grade.
It was kind of fragmented.
But some other stuff said in high school. Most of the things said that he dropped out of school in the 4th grade. Like he started working, he learned piano, his brother-in-law taught him, but he was also like kind of a prodigy, like had that innate ability to be like, this is what the sound I'm hearing is, and like, here's how to make it on the piano.
Yeah, he could hear anything and play it, which I love when people can do that.
Me too. I wish that I was one of those. Like,
that was us.
Like
yeah.
you are basically a magician to me.
Yeah,
like,
I agree.
You have a magical power where you can.
It really is. It's probably some neurodivergence scenario too. It
where just
is.
Everything lines up and you can remember it super easy. And even mechanically, like recognizing the sound is one thing, but like making your fingers make the sound.
Yeah, that's the crazy part.
I don't know. It's never really made sense on like how that happens to me.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. Well, I saw an interview that he was talking about how when he would like be going from like delivering ice.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime a place had a piano, he would stop and play it, and like his coworkers would have to like come find him and like be like, "Come back to work, bro."
Yeah, it's like, no, that sucks. This is
Yeah,
fun.
this is what I want to do.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
want to sit around and play
So he
piano.
just immediately just loved it, which he was like, what, 12 or some shit when he got taught how to play? He was really young.
Yeah, I think he started playing in clubs at like 14. Like he was super young when he started playing with other people's bands. And even his first recordings, he was only like 22. He got on the train
Yeah,
young
that's
and
major
then
child prodigy vibes.
yeah, and then continued to do it like from 14 till I think his last live performance was in like 2000. I think he did one performance in 2016. His last tour was in 95 and his last like big show before that other one was in like 2006 or something.
It's so crazy. We could have hypothetically gone to that, you know?
Yeah.
That would have been fucking nuts.
There were like two dudes, the Lou Chud guy that got him signed to his label, but his songwriting partner and the dude that like he was with for most of his career was Dave Bartholomew, who was a trumpet player that like it said initially didn't like his like boogie style, but then once he saw him perform live and like saw how the crowd responded to it and stuff, was like, all right, this is it. This is what people want.
Can't deny it.
And so he and Dave Bartholomew, who also wrote a bunch of other stuff, I think, for like Chuck Berry and Little Richard, like I don't think he just worked with Fats, but like everything that Fats recorded that was like an original or even like a lot of reworkings of older songs were all with him and Dave Bartholomew for that whole run on Imperial Records up till 1963. They were a co-writing team. Everything's written by Domino and Bartholomew, like when you look at the credit for all those big singles and everything. Which again, I think speaks to his character that he had the same songwriting partner for 25
right, not
years.
the drama of whatever other bands.
Yeah. And like that they would want to continue to work together. I knew that he was like credited as a like a creator of rock and roll or like the like I knew he was like a godfather of rock and roll or whatever. And I know that his name pops up a lot in that context. I didn't really know that he is kind of credited with the first literal rock and roll album. Like the Fat Man it was the first rock and roll album to sell over 1 million copies.
It was the highest selling record ever other than Elvis, right?
I think through the 50s. Yeah, he sold more albums than everybody but Elvis. But like he, even if he didn't create it, like I think he always said like this isn't new music. This is just what we've been playing the whole time. Like it's just now starting to get
it's new to you.
yeah. It's just starting to get airplay and get popular and stuff. He was a big reason why that sound started to get popular. Again, I think it's similar to like punk rock where there were a lot of people doing similar things at similar times and you can argue about which one is first. I think that he was that way with rock and roll. There were other people doing similar things, but this really put a light on how much of an effect he had on pop culture and like popular music and the evolution creation of rock and roll. Like I feel like I know more about what that actually means than just saying like he created rock and roll.
For sure. I watched a couple documentaries about that, and I'm in the middle of another one right now, you know, about the beginnings of rock or whatever. And it's about all these guys. It makes me think like, what version of that is happening right now? Like what weird ass music is going to be next that we didn't see coming, that evolved out of whatever the fuck else that in 30 or 50 or 100 years, somebody's, if any of us are still alive, somebody's going to be on a podcast being like, in 2024 was when this was created. Like the very first, you know, like it's hard to imagine that.
You know, and I just said the youth culture is, you know, whatever, don't be old and curmudgeonly. But I feel like the difference now is there's no longer a monolith of culture with music and culture in general. In olden days, it was like you only had so many avenues to hear or to get or to be exposed to music. And that meant only a certain amount of things would actually get played and like become popular or whatever. But I think since everybody has access to everything all the time, I don't know that we will see, you know what, it will be interesting to see what gets remembered out of these times because there are pockets of things that are really popular, but I don't think that there's anything that is like the most or like everybody is into. I feel like everything is too fractured.
Yeah, and I wonder how that's going to play out because like you're right. What is the most popular? What are people going to remember?
You know, it's going to be Taylor Swift and everybody's going to act like she was the only thing
and
that
Beyonce.
existed. Yeah, like for the last 10 years.
They're like, this is the first time a rap artist went country or, whatever.
Like, okay, guys, come on. There was a lot of other stuff happening. But it's like there just weren't as many available options then.
I'm just thinking of like all these DIY. I don't know what's going on with Chapel Roan, but everyone's into her right now. And there's like a handful of like mostly femme, queer, kind of little niche weirdos that are putting on these really weird little shows and gaining popularity somehow. It's really interesting.
But I also feel like things move really fast now too.
Yeah.
Like stuff,
Yeah.
it's not even like week to week charts. It's day to day what has gone viral, and stuff gets replaced so fast, and there's just so much, say, such a constant stream of content that it is going to be interesting to see what sticks.
What sticks? What's going to stick? Very interesting. Because I don't even know what's going on. Like, I'm even unaware of the
Yeah.
majority of it. You know what I mean? So it's like,
It is kind of like being in like the middle of a tornado and then
yeah. The aftermath is going to be who knows what. Yeah, and then we're just over here listening to fucking shit from the 50s or whatever.
Yeah. I don't have any new releases on my listening history this week. It's all from prior to the only thing more recent than 1979 was his Christmas album. It was released in 1993. That's like as new as I got.
That one's not on Spotify, but I did hear some of his Christmas songs on other compilations.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad that wasn't on there because I'm good on that.
For Christmas music, the songs weren't bad. Most of the songs weren't bad.
He doesn't do anything bad. Everything sounds so good. Just the style of music back then was so listenable. Even with his like rock and roll spin on it, it's still so like mild compared to, obviously shit that we've heard these days. Like in the Music League thing, somebody just put a Cannibal Corpse song on there. So I was like, this is decidedly offensive as fuck. Honestly, it was like about murdering women and wearing their skin or some fucked up shit, which like Fats has some unsavory, sexist lyrics.
Yeah, definitely.
That I was like questionable content here.
Yeah, there were a few songs on there, especially that don't hold up quite as well.
Damn, dude, rough. That's harsh.
For the most part, I feel like they're pretty benign.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would have attributed any of the songs. Like if somebody said name a Fats Domino song, I don't know that I would have had an answer of like, oh yeah, it's this, this, and this, or like these are his songs. But like listening through it, it was like, oh yeah, I know
all these fucking songs.
At least 25 or 30 of them that are just songs that you have always heard growing up. Like they just are part of.
Yes, indeed. I'm talking. Yeah, dude. My whole childhood, my grandma and shit was listening to shit like that.
To me, they're songs that don't feel like they have an origin. So that's why a part of it was interesting of like, this is the guy that wrote that song.
I feel like that's kind of a lot of the music from back in the day feels like it doesn't have an origin. And I think a lot of that is because everyone was covering each other's songs all the time. And it was like just a totally different vibe back then. Like these days, I feel like when somebody covers a song, it's really specific. You know the artist who the original was and you know that it's a cover. But back in the day, it was like, somebody would write a song and then 50 artists would record that song. Who was who fucking knows where this came from? Like, it's just a song now that we all know.
That happened to Fats with that song, Ain't It a Shame?
Yeah. Ain't that a shame?
So he wrote it and recorded it. And then 3 weeks
later, somebody else literally stole it and recorded it,
wrote it and
released it at the same time.
He didn't steal it. He licensed the song and recorded it his own stuff. Like Fats got royalties from that recording.
Okay,
like
good.
he was paid for it and everything, but the studio had the rights to the song, so the studio licenses it out to Pat Boone, and Pat Boone records it. And then it was sanctioned like legally or whatever, but it wasn't like he came to Fats and was like, hey, let me do your song. I was like, nope, here, I'm gonna do that song, we'll get it licensed and record it on our own.
And that's just how it was back then.
And Pat Boone's got to #1 when Fats was at like number 10 at the same time for the same song.
And Fats' version is so much better. I don't know what the fuck anyone was thinking. Honestly, all of his versions of all of his covers are better than anyone else's.
So I want to talk a little bit about his like influence on future artists and like people that cite him and like where you can hear his influence and stuff. One of those very specific one was the Beatles. He was a huge influence on the Beatles. And I would argue the British Invasion in general, whether or not all the other bands would attribute it to him. The Beatles were not mimicking in the same, like they were doing the exact same thing, but like they were taking his influence and using it to kind of fuel what they were doing. The first song that John Lennon ever learned how to play on guitar was a Fats Domino song.
Weird. The first song I ever learned was a Beatles song.
Oh, well, see, there you go. Your direct line, direct lineage to Fats Domino. And Paul McCartney said that the song Lady Madonna is like a straight up
His
homage
style, kind
to
of. Yeah.
Fats. Yeah, like it was like, he was like, that's a Fats Domino song. Like we wrote it as like intentionally to sound like a Fats Domino song.
And it does, but it does have a Beatle-y spin on it. So that's a perfect influence to buy.
Yes, exactly. It's not exactly one for one.
Yeah, you're not totally ripping him off.
You can hear the like boogie piano part. I mean, they have their tweak on it and stuff. But Fats recorded a cover of that in 1968, which ended up being his last single to make the like top 40 charts before his like new music stopped charting. And I would argue that his cover of Lady Madonna is better than the Beatles cover. So it's like his covers were better than the originals, and his originals were better than the people that covered him too.
I love the Beatles and I love that song. But yeah, I mean, Fats just fucking killed it all around on all of his covers. Fats seemed like an introvert homebody type. Like he always talked about how he just wanted to be at home all the time.
Did you see he took like trunks of cookware to cook on the road and stuff so he could have like Louisiana food?
This was something that reminded me of my fucking grandma because he said that he didn't trust anything that anybody else cooked. He only trusted it if it was made by his own hands. And that's how my fucking grandma is because she's a germaphobe. So it made me wonder, like, is he like a fucking germaphobe or he definitely exhibited a lot of from the interviews I saw him what he could get out. He said a couple of things that made him seem like he didn't trust anybody. He was kind of paranoid and only wanted to stick to who he knew.
Yeah,
for sure. And I'm sure, back in the day, you would have to kind of be like that. And that may be where a lot of my familial paranoia stems from because my family is so fucking paranoid like that. Like the native side, they're just don't trust fucking anybody. And so a lot of the shit Fats was saying reminded me of my grandma.
Well, he also talked like I think he was a homebody. He said like when he got Mondays off, he would fly home on Mondays. Yeah. Like so it was he toured, he played like 200 shows a year forever. And on his downtime, he was at home and he lived in the Ninth Ward for the majority of his life. He was a New Orleans dude.
Also, he was a millionaire. The fact that he was able to become a millionaire at that time is insane. He was making like $3 a week or some shit and became a millionaire. Like, how the fuck is that even possible? That's amazing.
There was some interview and it was in the late 60s, like the jewelry that he wore. And if you ever see him.
Yes, I saw that interview.
Oh man, it was black and white.
Spiky ass.
Yeah, but they kept zooming in on stuff. And it did
that. Oh my God.
That like sunburst color bleed because you could tell it was so bright, even in black and white, that it was like
it's like shining in the lights. Yeah.
I was like, whoa.
Well, and he said that he spent like an ungodly amount. I forgot the amount that he said in that interview, but he said he spent like this many millions of dollars on jewelry alone. Yeah. He like blew all his money on jewelry. And he loved the color pink, which I really enjoyed. He like painted the inside and the outside parts of his house pink. Did you see that? There was an interview with the local New Orleans news guy who was like obsessed with Fats. Of course, this white guy who cut him off a bunch of the interview. But anyway, he was probably just really excited to talk to him. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, I guess. But
well, and I think Fats was a slow talk. Like the vibe was not necessarily that they like didn't want to cut him off, but
that's what I'm saying about me. Is like when I'm talking to slow talkers, I'm like that too. And but I hate that feeling when they can't get it out and I wait and I wait and I wait. And then I finally say something at the same time that they finally start to say something. I'm like, fuck, I should have just held off a little longer so they could get it out, Oh, it's rough. It's rough being a fast talker versus a slow, quiet type. But yeah, anyway, what was I saying about that interview? I don't remember. It showed the inside of his house.
Oh, his house was pink.
Yeah, the inside of his house was pink, and he had this sick pink Cadillac, like the ass of a pink Cadillac, but it was a couch. It was fucking killer. And he had some kind of pink badass car back in the day. I thought that was really cute anyway. And I thought it was cool and interesting that he stayed in his house during Hurricane Katrina and didn't want to leave, but then had to be like kind of rescued basically. And everyone thought he was dead.
The thing I read about that, so getting into Katrina, that was like 2005, and he lived in New Orleans. He lived in the Ninth Ward in New Orleans, which, you know, was like decimated by the hurricane. He didn't leave, but the thing that I read that said he didn't leave was because his wife was sick and he didn't want to make her travel and he didn't want to leave her behind. So he like stayed behind, partially because he didn't want to leave, but like also partially to take care of his wife. Like his wife's name was Rosemary, and he has a song from like way early on days that is titled Rosemary. It's like I think a lot of his songs are just written like I didn't get a real big like biographical vibe from a lot of them, but that one really was
Well, I
like,
think back in the day, it was pretty common to not
yeah,
be
you just
overly
wrote
biographical.
like
Yeah,
whatever the sound
it's what
was.
sounded good. Yeah,
But that one was, I felt like it was really sweet. It was to his wife, who he married in 1947 before his singles came out, who he stayed with all the way until she passed away in like 2008. It was just, I don't know. I just felt like he was just a good dude. Like, not a perfect person, I'm sure, but he just seemed like a good, nice guy. But yeah, him not wanting to leave during the hurricane because his wife was sick. I was like, man, that's like,
yeah,
that's
touching.
nice. Yeah, that's touching.
It is.
But yeah, they thought he died. His house got destroyed. They thought he was gone. Like, there's that graffiti where it says like R.I.P. Fats.
Didn't they fucking rescue him off the roof or some shit?
They rescued him off the roof and they took him to the Superdome.
So what did they rescue his wife off the roof too? Where were all the kids?
They must have. Yeah,
Yeah, but I didn't see any pics of that. I saw a pic of them helping him, but I didn't see any pics of any of the rest of the fam. So
Oh, I didn't see any photos of it.
yeah, there was one photo of two guys like around, like holding his arms on either side, kind of like helping him stand up or walk, or I don't know what the fuck was going on. But
did you see his kids' names?
they all start with A. I know
Yeah,
that.
so he's Antoine Domino Jr.
I heard him saying like, yeah, they started calling me Fats because I gained a little bit of weight, but also because of other musicians named Fats too, multifaceted. But
It was his bass player that gave him the nickname, and he didn't like it at the beginning.
Yeah,
He's like,
so
I'm gonna start
rude.
calling you Fat Billy or whatever.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
he didn't want to be.
Fuckhead.
But they were saying it wasn't because he, like, in the song The Fat Man, he's like, because I weigh 200 pounds.
Yeah.
And it's like, bro, 200 pounds is like
He was
not
5'5" though.
I know, but even still, it was like today a 200-pound 5'5" guy is like,
That's nothing.
that's a reasonable
So
size
I'm
of a human.
5'6". Yeah, and I weigh like 130. So me with 70 more pounds would just be like a little curvy, fluffy vibes. I don't even think of that as fat, actually.
Yeah, it wouldn't be like the first descriptive word.
He was also really cute. I thought he was really, really adorable. Like, his face is so cute, although he's had a very bad hair era.
Yeah, he definitely had the little wingtips on the side.
Yeah.
Like, for the most part, made the little square, but the middle of the square got lower and lower and lower.
Yes,
you know who
exactly.
he reminds me of? What that hairstyle reminds me of? Did you ever read the comic strip Dilbert?
Yes.
The boss in Dilbert. That's like where his hair was going. Yeah. With the two little spikes on the top.
Do you remember Garfield always trying to mail Normal, his cousin Cat, to Abu Dhabi?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so because my whole life, that's my only association with Abu Dhabi. And I have a friend right now that's doing a movie and they're going to shoot in Abu Dhabi. And I'm like, oh my God, give me your address when you're there, please. For the love of God, I have to mail you a Normal.
Yeah,
that would make dreams come true for me.
With all the little stickers on the side.
Yes.
Okay, his children's names: Antoinette, Antoine III, Andrea, Andre, Anatole, Anola, Adonica, and Antonio.
Ooh, Adonica. I like that one.
Yeah, those are good names. Those are all good kid names. But I love a group with a themed name.
Yeah, me too. The album from the 70s, Fats, was so like 70s and groovy. I really liked that one.
I liked a lot of his older stuff.
I mean, it was all good, but that was like the only one that I had a specific note on. Like, this one's 70s groovy, and I really was into it.
There's one in the late 60s. I think Getaway with Fats, or no, you know what? It was Here He Comes Again, because that was why I thought it was funny. Not only was that the Imperial like response to the Here Comes Fats, it was a lot of old songs, but they had been not re-recorded, but like re-tracked, where they added like strings and background vocals and gave it that orchestra sound, kind of like the Lawrence Welk treatment, you know what I mean? Where it had like strings and the like backup singers and stuff repeating what he said. I thought that was a really interesting take on taking all of his old songs that were kind of like upbeat and rocking, and it kind of made them more like adult contemporary and less rock and roll, more palatable for an older generation, which was like not what he needed to be doing at that time.
That was the opposite of his vibe, too.
Yeah.
Like, he's trying to liven this shit up, not bring it back down.
Fats from 1971 and Fats is Back from 68. I thought both of those were really good albums, and they were, later in his career. The stuff after Fats, I think, were released in Europe. Like, I think he's another example of an artist that was really big in Europe and maybe had some albums or tracks that were released over there that didn't make it stateside.
Like Tina.
Yeah, like Tina. And then I think he just toured and played shows through, like, I think that's what most of the 70s and 80s was. Like, I don't think he was releasing new music.
It seemed like he toured a ton.
And a lot of like live albums, but not as much straight up studio recordings. I think the sales dropped off after the British invasion and like the new era of rock and roll. Like, it does sound dated. It sounds like 50s rock.
It definitely has like a 50s almost doo-wop vibes every now and then.
Didn't really change his style, like update it to try to keep up with the trends, I felt like. But I do feel like he hit that,
his
like,
music.
I'm going to play my music. I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to live off the royalties from these songs for the rest of my life. And that's what he did. He did that Christmas album in 93, which is not, it's all sounds like it's recorded on digital keyboards, and it just doesn't have the same, like, it just sounds kind of
interesting. Totally different vibe.
Yeah. It's not quite the same. And then he did one in 2006, Alive and Kickin'. Did you find that one anywhere?
Oh, no, but I wanted to, just because I think that's hilarious that he made that after everyone thought he died.
Right. Well, it was a Katrina benefit album. Yeah. Like, it was specifically, he recorded it or released it specifically to raise money for musicians.
Yeah, that one's not on here.
I couldn't find it anywhere. That was one that I didn't listen to either. I think it had some new stuff, but I also think it was like older songs that hadn't been released or were like re-recorded or stuff. But yeah, I couldn't find the only place I could find it was like you could buy CD copies of it. And I'll buy it if I come across it. The last big album was that tribute album. It had like Tom Petty and Randy Newman and Neil Young, and so it had like 20 different artists. Paul McCartney was one of the people. It had that John Lennon song that he covered of his on there. That's one that, again, I couldn't find. I could only find CD copies of it, but that's one that's like, if I ever find that one, I think that'd be a really good.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun.
I think that'd be a really good tribute album.
Because I'm sure it's a lot of people who were hugely influenced by him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Which is so interesting and fun to see. Like, that's one really fun thing about doing all this is you can really see who's influenced by who. And like you said before, something about how, like, even if the British invasion didn't realize they were influenced by it, they were, because the Beatles were, and then they were influenced by the Beatles. So it like trickles, it dilutes, it ripples, it does whatever. It's really interesting and cool how everything in the world builds on everything else, and it's nonstop forever.
One of the things as I was going through this, like, he's very clearly an influence on those artists, right? It's a direct line from what he did, but I don't feel like he gets the same amount of credit for being influential that some other artists do. I have some theories about that. Do you think that's true, or do you think there's a reason for that?
Well, it could probably, because he's like less dramatic in the public eye, could be a reason. Him being a black man could be a reason. Just like the shyness and subdued nature of him, and like a lot of people might have been more like actively trying to, like you said about Elvis, like actively trying to be superstar famous or whatever, and the fact that no one would ever let him talk, that probably had something to do with it. I don't know, what other artists are you thinking of that like get all the cred?
Well, like Chuck Berry and Little Richard and Buddy Holly and the early rock and roll people.
I think music people know, but the layman maybe not as much, because like it's one of those artists where it's like I've heard all of his songs but didn't know who it was, kind of a vibe,
Right. Or heard versions of his songs where it's like, oh, who wrote this? And like he wrote so many of them. Even going through and listening to them the first time, it feels like you only talk about people covering stuff. And I wasn't really aware, are these Fats songs or
like exactly which are his and which are covers?
For the most part, most of them. And even the ones like Blueberry Hill, which isn't an original song, like when you think of that song, you hear the Fats Domino version.
And it's the best version.
Yeah, you don't think of the old, the ones from the 40s and stuff. You think of the version that he did.
Well, and that's what somebody had said about, it might have been Patsy, one of the bands that we talked about, it was like some person in some interview somewhere. I don't recall the details, but they were like, when they sing it, when she sings it, it becomes her song. It's her song now. Like, so I feel like Fats did a lot of that. If he did a cover, it was his now because it was so much better the way he did it, and the way he did it was so specific to him. You know, it's not like you would confuse it with anybody else or anything. Even though it sounds very similar to a lot of stuff back then, there's something about him that makes him just a little bit different. His playing style and just his vibe.
Yeah, and I think his voice too. It's all really like smooth,
Yes.
and it's not. Yeah, I don't know. I would agree with that. I don't know exactly what it is, but yeah, he's got a style
There's
to it.
just something about Fats.
So he did all that time that he was recording for Imperial, which was like that's his major run. I think all the stuff after 1963 is like worth listening to. I don't think he did anything that's not worth listening to. But what he's remembered for is all the stuff that he did for Imperial in the 50s and really early 60s. They released 40 different singles or like 45 or something different singles. 37 of them made the top 40 either on the R&B charts or the pop charts, which is like that's crazy. Like in a 10-year time span to have that many singles to go to be that popular for
Yeah.
that sustained amount of time. Like I think Elvis was one of the only ones that had more hits in the top 40 for that same time period. But see, like he's not remembered on the same level that Elvis is. Like Elvis larger than life persona, and Fats kind of, I would argue, like forgotten or at least overlooked for the
Yeah,
most
by
part.
people who aren't like super music people.
Yeah, because Elvis is just in the public consciousness. Even if you don't listen to music, you know who Elvis is.
Elvis, Madonna, Beyonce, like all the one namers.
Yes. Yeah, Fats. Fats should be in there too.
I agree.
But yeah, I
Fats.
think you're right. I think it's the shyness and the like. I don't think that was his end goal. I think when it died out, I think he was happy to play shows and just do what he was doing.
He was playing music and the record people discovered him.
Yeah.
And they put his shit out there and got him playing all these shows and shit and recording and stuff. But he was gonna play and do his thing regardless of any of that, I feel like.
Playing the music and doing that was his passion. But I think that's how he interacted with the world in a more comfortable way. Like he seems way more comfortable. I know he had stage fright and anxiety and didn't really,
Which is crazy because he looked so comfortable.
once he got going, like he seemed happy and personable and comfortable and like so yeah, I don't know. I just think that was the focus. I don't know. I really enjoyed this. I feel like I learned a lot doing this. Like this one felt educational, but it also felt fun. Like I had a good time listening to it and learning about it. And like I'm glad he didn't have some deep dark secret stuff that was like, oh man, this sucks.
I mean, the cheating on his wife shit isn't great, but
Not great, but they worked it out. I mean, she
well, and obviously back in the day, I mean, that shit was just happening left and right. You know, that was, I feel like, am I crazy or was that like super common back then? I mean, I guess it's always been common and is common now, but
right.
it just seems like back then because women had less rights and say and autonomy in general, that it was way more rampant back then to just be doing whatever you want with the women around you. And even though he obviously was devoted to her on a lot of levels.
Cheating on his wife, like not a great look, right? Like not the type of person you would want to be if you were modeling yours. But it didn't feel like he was like abusive or
right. He wasn't iking it up when he got home or whatever. Yeah.
or what it could have been, especially with artists at this time. Like I think the fact that they stayed together for all those years, you know, they had so many kids and like again, nobody's going to speak ill of him, especially at this point. It kind of feels like the way to do it. Like get in, get your stuff out, get huge and famous, and then just do what you want to do for the rest of your life.
Yeah, that's like the dream, honestly, but I feel like that's so not as achievable these days. The way things were back then, if you just happened to fall into whatever this was, your dream or whatever, that's badass. I don't know, something about back in the day, things just seemed more simple. If you happen to fall into that, then you were set and you could just do your thing and whatever. And I don't know, maybe it's just also seems like there was less. Well, there were less people, period, back then.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like maybe less people concerned with making music back then. probably. So there was like less competition in a way, kind of like what you're talking about, how like now everything's like almost on kind of on an even keel and there's so much of it and so much variety and stuff that it just kind of all blurs together and it's hard to grab one or whatever. What do you think? Do you think there were just less people making music back then? Or, I mean, obviously there were because there were less people, period, but proportionally, do you think there were less people doing that because they were just trying to survive and like farm or whatever, do their labor?
Well, and like independent artists weren't as much of a thing. Like everything that got released through a label. And so there were less, but maybe there were more labels, but like to get a thing actually made and released took somebody somewhere saying, hey, we want to record this and go through the process. And like it took a team of people to all be on board with getting that thing to exist.
Do you think that there were a bunch of artists that are unknown back then that never got recorded and stuff?
Oh, sure. Or like people that only like what Fats was
Played at
doing
home,
before
jammed at
he
home.
or played in clubs or whatever. Like what he was doing before he got signed and started releasing music. He was just in clubs playing to crowds of people live. Like, yeah, I'm sure there were tons of musicians who were
Do
doing
you
that.
think there was like a proportionally similar amount of people doing stuff like that back then as to now?
I don't know.
I just feel like having an art career is like less common back then, but go on.
Well, like there could be an argument where it was more often because people went out and did that stuff more often. Like there wasn't as much to do. And so you went to clubs and listened to music. I'm thinking like big band places like
Yeah.
a Copa Cabana or something where there were just like musicians in like a club and you went to drink and you didn't know who you didn't go to see the people as much, but you went to a place and there was live music at the place as the entertainment, you know, because there wasn't a jukebox or
Right.
probably more prominent in city centers than like small clubs.
I just think about stuff like that a lot.
A different time.
I mean, I went to this small town fucking bar down the street yesterday when there was a guy playing music, you know, like
Yeah. Yeah. Stuff like that, where it's like just people doing it without even without the intention of like starting being a career even or playing for enough money to do the next show the next night.
I'm pretty sure all my grandparents and shit played for free. My grandpa
Mhm.
and some of my grandma's brothers, and then like some other random old men in the town would just get together and jam all the time when I was a kid. I don't know if we've ever talked about that, but it was like really cool and fun for me. He would just have these old men over and they would just be all sitting there playing different fucking instruments together. How fun is that?
Yeah. A jamboree, a hootenanny.
Yeah, it was straight up. I don't know, like all this. Okay, it was really fun for me to watch a lot of the documentary stuff because it was like 50s New Orleans footage and stuff, which is
Mhm.
so cool. And like, I fucking love New Orleans and the music that came out of that place is it's just the vibe there. It's like another fucking planet. So it totally makes sense to me that he came from there because there's just something special growing out of that place. Like, but anyway, just seeing all that footage reminded me of my childhood. Like I straight up grew up in the 50s in this similar environment, like poverty with like old people getting together playing music. They were all jamming and, you know, kind of a similar vibe of what I was seeing on the documentaries and stuff. So it was just, I don't know, just fun, really fun to watch.
Well, and I think that ties into an idea of music as culture versus commerce. And I think now so much of it is a business and so much of it is about business that it's not as much about like just getting together and playing songs just as an expression of like community or like community or camaraderie or just for fun, you know, like I don't feel like that happens as much.
Because we used to do that too. When we were younger, we and all of our friends would sit around and jam randomly, you know, like campfire jams or whatever the fuck. Like,
so if you could distill Fats's discography, because you're not going to recommend somebody listen to all 500 albums, right? I don't know. I think in the streaming, like you could just say, put on that Imperial Singles comp and just listen to it from top to bottom. Like, do you think it's worth going into it, or do you think it's better to take like the highlights of the genre styles or like the big songs or the ones that were most influential?
I think it's worth going into it because I found some like little gems that I had never heard before that I was like, oh, this song's awesome, you know?
Yeah.
Like I have a bunch of new favorites that I had never heard before.
I do want to put ones together that are all basically the same song, that are the same like blues riff or whatever. And like, here's 10 different versions of that same style of song.
Ooh, yeah, that would be interesting to listen to like all in a row.
There was one that was credited as, so he not only had a big influence on rock music, he also was super popular in Jamaica and had a really big influence on Jamaican musicians, including like the birth of ska. A bunch of the really early like first wave ska bands credit Fats Domino as an influence because he had a lot of his songs
The
had the emphasis
time.
on the like upstroke or
Yes.
whatever, which is what ska is based off of. So I thought that was cool too. It wasn't just rock and roll music that he had an influence of. It was a worldwide at this point.
Well, and he was influenced by like some Haitian style, I think it was, or
Mhm.
something, which I thought was really cool
Well,
too.
and I think that goes into the like Louisiana Creole, like Caribbean style.
Well, yeah, also badass that his first language is like French. Okay, I really liked his blues stuff too, by the way. That was like
Yeah.
probably my favorite vibe of his is like the more bluesy shit. And this Korea blues song, I was like, damn.
Oh, the one with the bugle?
That was annoying to me.
I thought it was great because it didn't line up or match the song or whatever.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't know.
that
I thought
broke
that
my
was a really,
brain. I was like,
yeah.
what the fuck is happening here musically? But the lyrics are like, fuck. Uncle Sam ain't no woman, but he sure can take your man. He's taking them in the daylight to go to Korea and fight. It's crazy. We have to go there and show him what it means to be real tough.
It was weird to hear Korean War music
Yeah.
songs. Like you think about war and music and it's like Vietnam War, like, but no, Fats was out there singing about the Korean War.
I saw an interview on one of the documentaries that I got a kick out of because they were talking about the Boll Weevil song and how when white people covered it, it was like they don't even know what the fuck they're talking about because it's like a black people picking cotton scenario. Like,
Yeah, it's like this shouldn't be coming from your
yeah,
perspective.
but it's so catchy.
You really tap your toe to it.
You really can on a lot of these, man. Do you have any like standout faves or anything?
There were so many songs on this one, and I made so many other playlists just to get the albums in
Yeah,
order that like
it all blurs together.
it all kind of blurs together. Really, my feeling on it is none of them are bad. Every single song that he recorded was good. There's not a single song on here that was like the only one that bordered on being like irritating was that one you were talking about with the bugle in
The
it.
Korea
But I
blues,
thought that
yeah.
was such an interesting touch to put the military bugle in with the blues song that I don't know. It worked for me. I know it was like I get not liking it.
Yeah, no, as soon as I heard it, I was like, no. Yeah, do you have any closing thoughts?
Again, like we were talking about with, I think it was Chumbawamba. Like I think Fats is due some credit. I think like I wish his stuff was more accessible and more in the forefront. I think he deserves more credit than he gets, and hopefully that will happen on a wider range rather than just the people. You know, like we were talking about the people that know. I think he deserves to be everybody, not just people that know. Like every time Elvis is mentioned, I think Fats should be mentioned too.
Fucking A. Yes. Did you watch the Elvis biopic that came out a while back?
Yeah,
Was it good?
it's Baz Luhrmann. He did Moulin Rouge and Romeo and Juliet.
So was it really like
It's
visually
bananas. Yeah, it's like
okay?
at certain points it's like watching 3 movies at the same time.
Okay.
It's
Huh.
a lot.
People talked about how great it was.
Are you going to learn anything about Elvis or his life? No.
Not so much.
Did it
Okay.
take his weirdo manager and like try to make him into a good guy protagonist in a weird way? Yes. Does
Okay, I
Tom
already
Hanks
don't
do a
like it.
completely unhinged accent through the whole thing? And is that worth watching it like just on its own? 100%. Yes.
Okay. Huh.
You should watch it. You should not expect it to be anything more than like a popcorn movie with a bunch of Elvis references and songs and
That's
stuff.
what I assumed. That's why I didn't watch it. Because I was like, this is just going to be Elvis propaganda, and I've seen enough of that.
It's like someone shouting a movie at you, you know, like just
Yeah,
it's like
that sounds horrible.
like it's very much
Sounds
movie.
horrible. I'll have to be in a certain mood for that.
Yeah, it's like it's just turn your brain off. And again, is it good? I don't think so. Is it worth watching? Yeah. I watched did you watch
Interesting.
Bohemian Rhapsody, the Queen movie?
Yeah, it was so good.
I hated it. I thought that
Really?
movie was dog shit. Yes, it like made up a bunch of facts and was just like, I don't know. I just hated the pacing. I hated I thought it was garbage.
Okay, here's what I liked about it. I thought the music was good. I thought the actor who played Freddie was really good.
Yeah,
I was really
agreed.
impressed by him. He sang for it and he sounded amazing and his teeth looked good. He looked really good.
Yeah.
And I liked all the gay shit. I'll take anything gay.
Yeah, but it just like there was no strife or struggle. It was just like, hey,
Yeah.
we met. You want to start a band? Okay, everybody loves us.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a record. Oh, we record this stuff. Oh, we're
That's
the best
all
band in the world.
Either the
like,
biopics are doing that or they're doing the opposite with women. They do the opposit where it's like you are battered, everything's bad, drama, drama, drama.
yeah.
With the women, it's like that, like Tina's and kind of Selena's a little bit. But yeah, but the guy musician biopics are just like fluff bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, Elvis was like it got into some of his struggles or whatever, but it was more about spectacle. It's more of like a visual experience.
Did it say anything about black people?
Yeah, he goes to like he sneaks out and goes to a nightclub and like jams with Little Richard and some people at some point in it.
But no like credit given to them or
I mean, in the sense
no.
that like they were influences on him, sure. I think that's
it illustrated
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's something, I guess.
All right. Well, you got anything else on Fats?
Fats is really good.
Yeah, agreed.
His music rocks. It's universally listenable, I think. Anybody could listen to that and would like it. No matter what kind of music you like. I feel like anybody could listen to that and like it.
And I think you could probably find a direct line back to it from whatever you like whatever your genre of choice
most
is.
music. Yeah. Like maybe not like Indian music or something. Like I'm trying to think of something that's so different.
Yeah. I mean,
so far
American music,
yeah,
probably. But like, do you see what I was thinking? It does bridge like blues, like straight up blues and jazz. That is like kind of its own thing. Like bridging it into rock and roll wasn't a thing, so like creating that like direction of from blues and jazz into what became rock and roll. I feel like he was a good blending or transition into like getting it from here to what it currently is.
And I really liked reading about how like New Orleans is a port city and all the, Haitians and Africans came and all their music blended together into this. Like that's so sick.
Yeah.
Just to think of how different genres are created. And New Orleans is that. It's music all the way, it's culture, it's black culture and a meshing of all their different flavors of that. And it's just so good. New Orleans is so have you been to New Orleans?
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's like one of my favorite places. New Orleans is a very, very special one of those places there's nowhere else like that. It's so special and such a vibe. And if you're there at nighttime, walking the streets and hearing all that music, and I mean, even during the daytime, and there's parades randomly all the time, there's music non-fucking stop in that city. It's so killer. And it makes perfect sense that that's where rock and roll and all these other kinds of music comes from because they just really know how to create a fucking vibe over there. And I have big plans to go see his house and his grave, which he was buried outside of New Orleans, but I put a marker on my phone. So
I'm gonna try to see some Patsy Cline play. I'm going to Nashville tomorrow. I'm gonna try to see
tomorrow?
Yeah.
Whoa. Oh my God. You have to send so many pics and videos and take a bunch of shit for this podcast.
I'll save it. So I'm going to try to do some stuff that I think will tie in, but
fuck yeah,
we'll talk about it on our next one. Speaking of our next one, who am I going to be listening to all week?
Okay, so I literally just changed my mind last minute because I've been wanting to do this band for a long time and it just keeps popping in my head. And so I'm just going to go for it. I want to do the Gorillaz.
Oh, cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah, it's summer right now. So I just feel like that's just like a fun summer, good mood like vibe.
Yeah, I'm into it.
It's not very like Nashville for you, but
no, that's okay. I think that'd be a good groove. So what brought the Gorillaz on?
They've just been on my list and I don't know, man. I've just been thinking about them a lot lately. I don't know. It's for no reason that I'm aware of. I just like the Gorillaz.
I think that's going to be super fun. They're a band that like I've always liked, but again, have never like they're the perfect band for me. It's like I've liked them in passing, but I know Damon Albarn and, Blur and like some of that stuff, but I don't really have great context for it. So good pick. I'm into that one.
Jamie Hewlett is the co-creator of Tank Girl, and
Okay.
I'm a huge Tank Girl fan. And that makes perfect sense with their like characters or whatever that they use, the gorilla cartoon
Hmm.
character people. I don't know. There's just something about them that is really intriguing to me that again, same with me. Like I've always liked their music, but I don't know every single thing. So I'm just interested to see what they got going on.
They're going to be a really good hub too, I think, because they worked with so many other artists and
Yes.
had guests and features and stuff. So I think that'll be really cool.
And I just kind of feel like there might be some like fun little hidden things to discover about them that we don't know.
Yeah, good one. Good pick. Good pick. Oh, speaking of hubs, speaking of connections, Fats did connect to our web
Of
in a couple
course.
different
Of
ways.
course.
First, probably most direct way is the Patti Smith song "Land of a Thousand Dances."
Uh-huh.
She did the cover version of that, the "Do the Watusi," the "Loosey Goosey,"
Uh-huh.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And Fats recorded that song also, so they both recorded
Yeah.
the same track, which is like the most direct. The other stuff is label stuff. So he connected to L7. They both released the albums on Reprise Records.
That's amazing.
So yeah, direct connection to L7. They were on the same label. And then Imperial got bought eventually by what ended up being EMI. And EMI is a huge hub. That's all Iron Maiden and Tina Turner were also on EMI. So a few
I knew
different
he would
ways
connect
that
to Tina
Fats
somehow.
connected. And I'm sure there are more if I went through. And problem with him having so many songs was like who recorded all the other versions of all the songs that he
Yeah.
did. And I'm sure there's some more connections in there, but I
Cat
thought
Power
the
probably fucking covered one of his songs.
I thought the Patti Smith connection was probably the like when that song came on, I was like, oh, this is because I just
Yeah.
read Just Kids.
Yeah. So good, right?
Oh, it was great. Honestly, it was great.
good.
It was so
Yeah.
much better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. No, it's so good.
So
She's
readable
a
and just
she's like a writer,
yeah,
you know?
yes. It gave me more context than anything else of just like of who she was and
Mhm.
how she looks at art and existence and how they're basically the same.
That was one of my favorite books I've read this year.
It was good. It was really good. It was actually way better than I thought it was going to be because I tried to listen to M Train and wasn't really into it. It was a little too
Yeah.
like self-indulgent maybe, but I really liked this. I thought it was written really well. I liked their story. Like it also wasn't, I thought it was going to be like super sad or depressing and like really focus on him being sick and all that stuff.
No, it
But
was
it's like,
sweet.
yeah, it was. It was just a nice like their story. And like at the end, she's like, I could have told a bunch of stories, like, but this is what I told. This is our version that's getting remembered. Yeah, it was really good.
That's one of my favorite books I've read this year.
Yeah, Patti Smith's still floating around in my consciousness.
Patty Smith's a bad bitch. Yeah, I think about her all the time.
Oh, she also did you see she just covered Lana Del Rey "Summertime Sadness" at some concert. There's a video of her covering Lana Del
That
Rey.
song is so fucking good.
You should find that. You should
Wow.
find that.
I can't wait.
Okay, I'm gonna take a flyer here on this one. Based on the stories of Fats and like all the influence, I really wanted to do somebody that was kind of the opposite or the not the opposite, but like in the same wheelhouse as Fats. And based on the story of Ain't That a Shame, our Wheel of Death artist for this is gonna be Pat Boone.
Okay,
So,
cool.
old-timey
that was
country.
such a boring version. Oh my god,
That's what I think is going to be the big knock against this. It's going to be too many songs because
Yeah.
like it's going to be a huge discography, but I just think it's going to be boring, but I think it will be interesting to see what the old establishment music was at the time because like for us Fats is establishment music at this point, right? Like it's become
Sure.
part of our consciousness, but like being able to compare it with like Pat Boone at the time to see how big of a shift it was from this like boring crooner country crap to what he was doing, which is not boring, which is awesome and fun.
Yeah.
So that's
choice.
that's the Wheel of
Makes
Death.
total sense.
I hope it doesn't land on that because I'm sure it's going to be like
Me
500
too.
songs.
And I'm not gonna lie, I really hope it doesn't land on Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, woof.
I heard a new Bruce. I'm pretty sure it's a new Bruce Springsteen song or something. No, not new, but on Music League, somebody put a Bruce song on the fucking compilation, and I was like, God, this is so annoying to listen to.
Sucks. It sucks.
It does suck. It sucks way worse than I.
And also, he like
remembered.
never stopped. So it's like it
I know.
the thing the what people consider good of his sucks, and then he continued like to continue to release stuff. So
he's gonna be our They Might Be Giants of the Wheel of Death.
yeah, so we have some real stinkers on there.
I'm scared. I hope it's Lana Del Rey,
Yeah,
honestly.
like Smash Mouth, Smash Mouth, Smash Mouth.
Is it Lana or Lana? That's what Carr said about Smash Mouth. Carr was like, Smash Mouth wouldn't be that bad. I'm
Yeah.
like, what are you talking about?
Well, comparatively, it would be pleasant. So
I don't know. I'm down for like J-Lo, MC Hammer, ABBA,
yeah,
or Lana. Is it Lana or Lana?
still don't know.
Depends on where you're from, I guess.
Cool. All right, man. I think we got it.
Nailed it.
Thanks for listening to Retro Spectrum. Be sure and leave us a 5-star review and follow along with us on all social media platforms at Retro Spectrum Pod. If you like what we do, subscribe to our Patreon at Retro Spectrum Pod for bonus episodes, playlists, and access to our Discord. Hope you enjoyed the show. See you next time.